Did you know that as adults, on average, we only retain 10% of the information we read on a daily basis? Think about all the data that is thrown at us, and imagine how much we're actually missing. How could we improve the conditions in our students' lives if we understand what motivates them to learn, the different ways in which they learn, and finally, how to help them retain 90% of the information they learn? This is not an impossible feat, but it cannot be achieved if we continue to teach adults in the same manner we teach children. Adults learn differently than kids, so our teaching methods must be different as well. As an educator of over 20 years, I have taught adults ranging from age 18 to 60 the HVAC industry. So many students have come to my training program after spending thousands of dollars at other schools, graduating, and then realizing they lack the skills to be employable in the trade. The standard teaching methods utilized at these schools, they failed them. I will share with you the secret of my success as an adult educator, in an effort to show you that with changes to the way trades are taught, we can see great success in our educational efforts. Most people who come to the trades, they already struggled with traditional subjects in junior high or high school. They work better with their hands, and they're seeking a new learning experience. Yet we try to teach them the same way they were taught before, and once again, these traditional methods of education fail them. To change this trend, we must first realize that adults require different motivation than kids. So what is it that motivates adults to learn, and why do adults learn differently? As children, our knowledge is minimal. Combine that with the natural curiosity of a child, and we can quickly understand the continual why questions that children ask. So let me ask you, as an adult, when was the last time you stopped to ask why? As adults, we've learned so much that traditional learning requires motivation. As adults, we carry more responsibility, and therefore our minds quickly jump to what we have to do next, what things are coming up, or what things we will do once we have free time. If we want to help those we teach, we must provide proper motivation. So perhaps we need to start each and every class with a simple "what's in it for you" statement. This lets them know why they should learn what you have to teach. It sets the stage. According to e-learning industries, great educators all have one thing in common. It is not that they are the best among the best in their own field. Instead, they are the ones who know best how to facilitate learning or set the stage. Now, it's no surprise that not all adults learn the same way. The National Highway Institute states that there are 3 primary learning styles: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. If we're not teaching to these 3 styles, we're never going to have success with our students. Visual learners, they see, they learn. Visual learners, they learn by looking, seeing, viewing, and watching. When teaching a class, identify the visual learners by asking the audience to describe something in their past life, like their first car. What will visual learners do? They tend to look up and to the left as they contemplate or draw images, visual memories, to recall the data. Now, auditory learners, well, they tend to learn by listening, hearing, and even speaking. While you're teaching, watch the audience. Simply look for the talkers, the ones raising their hands, or the people whose mouths are moving as if they were talking, as if they were taking notes or listening. What this means is that they're mouthing words or whispering to themselves to help improve their learning. And the third learning style is kinesthetic. To identify these learners, pass things around. Kinesthetic learners learn by experiencing, moving, and doing. They'll spend the most time with the items you pass around. They'll want to hold it, they'll feel it, run their hands across it, and if possible, they'll take it apart and reassemble it. When you see these 3 learning styles, you'll know your audience, and then you can tailor your delivery to each one of the student's specific needs. Now finally, that won't be enough, but finally we need to find ways to increase the learner's retention. Now as adults, here's some shocking statistics. We only retain about 10% of everything we read on a daily basis. We only tend to retain about 20% of the things we hear. And when we see things, we do a little bit better by retaining about 30% of the things we see. Our job as educators, as facilitators, are to combine all of these retention rates and combine those with the facts that most schools only lecture, and you'll see why your students suffer. Now, when we take these methods, like I said before, and combine them, we can get much greater results. For example, if when we lecture, we use plenty of visual aids that relate to what the instructor is saying, the combination of seeing and hearing can increase the learner's retention rate to up to 50%. Much better. Now, if the instructor has students say what they've learned out loud, by asking them, tell me what this means. Share with me your thoughts on this. Tell me what I said. How does this relate to you? Simply by having the audience recite what they've learned, say what they've learned, transitioning that thought into a verbal sentence structure, we can get their retention rates to jump to 70%. And finally, if we really want success, especially in the trades out there in the industry, if we really want success with adult education, we finally have to take the things we say and then combine them with hands-on practical examples. When we do this, when we combine what we see, what we say, with hands-on practical examples, these retention rates now jump up to 90% and more. That's right, 90% retention rates. Again, the students must see, say, and then do. Or in other words, engage all learning styles, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, if we ever wish to reach proper levels of success. So in conclusion, we simply cannot lecture to adults and expect them to succeed. We simply can't ask them to read and expect it to work. It's just never going to work. It's estimated that the trades are over 140,000 technicians short to be successful. We need people to fill these jobs, and there's people out there. But we have to teach them the way the adults learn, because other programs are just not helping. So the next question. In this model, I have outlined. So the next question is, will this model I've outlined work? While this may seem like a new concept and it may be hard to comprehend, it's really not. Let's go back to 451 BC, when Chinese philosopher Confucius said, "What I hear, I forget. What I see, I remember. But what I do, I understand." He understood all the way back in 451 what it took to teach adults. So in conclusion, reform is needed so that our trade schools understand this principle as well.